Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States of America, where Prime Minister Modi will arrive for his first state visit. The tricolour is fluttering, the red carpet is being rolled out. This is Modi's 8th visit to the US as Prime Minister, his second during the Biden presidency, but the Americans are calling it transformative. One that could redefine the India-US relationship. We'll tell you why. From chips to China, from jet engines to drones, the optics, the personal chemistry, we will report and analyze every aspect of this visit. Join me, Palki Sharma, to connect the dots on Firstpost.
Hello and welcome to Fast and Factual. I'm Utsaf Parekh and I'll take you through the top 50 stories of the day. Let's begin. Russia's defense ministry said its forces repelled a Ukrainian attack in the Donetsk region on Monday. The attack was part of Ukraine's ongoing counter-offensive. Russia also claimed that its troops captured a French-made tank from Ukrainian troops. Russian President Vladimir Putin met African leaders in Moscow on Sunday. The meeting was held to discuss a peace plan for the ongoing war in Ukraine. Leaders from South Africa, Senegal, Egypt, Zambia, Uganda, Congo, and the Comoros Islands urged Putin to stop the war. During the conference, Putin said that Russia was open to dialogue with Ukraine. Ahead of visiting Russia, the African leaders also met Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kyiv. Meanwhile, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa called the African peace delegation's trip to Russia and Ukraine useful. He added that getting Russia and Ukraine to engage with African nations was a huge achievement. Ramaphosa also announced that the African delegation would hold further discussions with Putin and Zelensky in July this year. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has written to G20 members seeking full membership of the African Union to the grouping. The Indian PM said Africa's inclusion in G20 would be seen as fair and inclusive. The African Union consists of 55 African member nations. New Delhi has invited 9 additional guests to the G20 summit. These include the UN, the WHO, and the World Bank, among others. India holds the G20 presidency till November this year. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken met Chinese President Xi Jinping in Beijing today. Their meeting was the final point on Blinken's agenda during his 2-day visit to China. It comes amid frosty ties between the US and China. Blinken also met China's top diplomat Wang Yi, and on Sunday, Blinken had met his Chinese counterpart Qin Gang. Meanwhile, China's Premier Li Qiang began his official visit to Germany. He met German President Frank-Walter Steinmeier in Berlin today. This is Li's first overseas trip after becoming China's premier in March this year. He'll also attend the new Global Financial Pact Summit in Paris on the 22nd of June. At least 21 people were shot at during a Juneteenth celebration in the US state of Illinois. One person succumbed to bullet wounds. Illinois police officials are still investigating the motive behind the attack. It is not known how many shooters carried out the assault. Juneteenth is a federal holiday in the US. The day marks the emancipation of enslaved African Americans. Meanwhile, militants linked to the Islamic State killed at least 37 people in a school in the West African country of Uganda. 6 other civilians were abducted from the school. According to police officials, the militants also looted food and people's belongings. The Ugandan army is working with the Army of Congo to track the militants. Search operations are on to trace the abducted civilians. The rival factions in Sudan have agreed to a new 72-hour ceasefire. The agreement was signed even as the Sudanese Armed Forces and the Rapid Support Forces paramilitary group continued to clash in Sudan's capital, Khartoum. The latest ceasefire has been brokered by Saudi Arabia and the US. The Sudanese army and RSF have agreed to allow the delivery of humanitarian aid across the country. Several other ceasefire agreements have been breached in the past. Qatar and the United Arab Emirates reopened their respective embassies on Monday. This is after the two Gulf countries agreed to restore diplomatic ties in April. This comes as Qatar and other Gulf countries are seeing a thaw in relations. Earlier in 2017, the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain and Egypt had severed ties with Qatar. They accused Qatar of forging closer ties with Iran and supporting terrorism. Israeli commandos backed by helicopters conducted raids in the occupied West Bank on Monday. At least 3 Palestinians, including a teenager, were killed. The Israeli troops engaged in a firefight with local gunmen. Over 29 people were wounded amid the fierce clashes. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he would go ahead with his proposed judicial overhaul. Netanyahu maintains that his motive is to balance out the powers between different branches of the government. Critics say that the overhaul will reduce powers of the judiciary, which will be detrimental for democracy in Israel. Meanwhile, thousands of people protested against the proposed overhaul. These protests have been going on for 5 consecutive months. Australia's Senate has passed a legislation to recognise its Indigenous people in the Constitution. With this, Australia's Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders would be recognised in the Constitution for the first time. They'll also be consulted by Parliament on matters affecting the Indigenous communities. Earlier on Friday, at least 79 people had died in a shipwreck off the coast of Greece. Now, survivors of the migrant boat tragedy are being reunited with their families. This is being facilitated at a migrant camp on the outskirts of Greece's capital, Athens. A cyclone has killed at least 12 people in Brazil. This comes after Brazil's southern regions witnessed torrential rainfall and landslides. At least 5 people are still missing. Brazil has deployed helicopters and boats to rescue people from the flooded areas. One person was killed as flash floods triggered a landslide in the South Asian country of Nepal. At least 25 people are missing due to the floods. Of these, 16 were engineers who were working on a hydroelectric project in Nepal's eastern region. Heavy rainfall has caused flooding in India's northeast state of Assam. Over 34,000 people have been affected. More than 12 districts are completely flooded. Disaster management teams have warned that the Brahmaputra River is flowing above the danger level. This means that it's likely to cause further flooding across the state. Meanwhile, parts of India are scorching under a severe heat wave. At least 100 people have died from the blistering heat in India's Uttar Pradesh and Bihar states. Over 400 people were hospitalized due to heat stroke. Temperatures in India's north and central regions crossed 42 degrees Celsius. India's meteorological department has forecasted that the heat wave will continue for the next 3 to 4 days. Temperatures crossed a record 40 degrees Celsius in Mexico. At least 8 people have died from the heat wave. Meanwhile, Mexico's northern regions are also experiencing a severe drought. Residents are without water and electricity as the country is unable to meet the surge in demand. Voters in Switzerland are divided over a climate law ahead of its referendum. The law aims to make Switzerland a carbon-neutral country by 2050. However, this would imply that higher taxes are levied on the residents. Meanwhile, reports show that Switzerland is warming at over twice the global rate. Analysts from the financial firm Goldman Sachs have cut the forecasts for China's economic growth. It lowered Beijing's 2024 real GDP growth forecast from 6% to 5.4%. The bank says that weak consumer confidence and a declining property market could affect the country's economy. The UK's antitrust regulator has approved Amazon's purchase of iRobot. It said that the deal will not lead to competition concerns in the UK. iRobot is an American firm that makes robotic vacuum cleaners and floor moppers. In August last year, Amazon had proposed to buy the gadget maker for nearly $2 billion. Pharmaceutical giant AstraZeneca is reportedly planning to spin off its China business. It's planning to list the unit in Hong Kong's stock market. This comes amid tensions between China and other countries, including the US. AstraZeneca is the biggest drug maker in China. The firm SVB Financials is in talks to sell its investment banking division, SVB Securities. The financial details of the deal have not been disclosed. Reports say SVB Securities will be rebranded after the divestiture. The unit will continue to focus on investment in the healthcare industry. SVB Financials is the parent company of the collapsed Silicon Valley Bank. Cryptocurrency exchange Binance will shut its services in the Netherlands. This is after it failed to meet the registration requirements to operate in the country. Trading will be halted from July 17th. This is the latest setback for the world's largest crypto firm. Earlier this month, Binance was sued in the US for evading securities laws. Electric truck maker Nikola will lay off 270 employees. This accounts for 23% of its workforce. The company will dismiss 150 employees from its European operations. The other 120 positions will be cut from its US factories. American chipmaker Intel will build a new chip factory in Israel. It will spend $25 billion on the project. The factory is due to open in 2027. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says this is the largest ever international investment made in the country. Elon Musk's brain chip company Neuralink is expecting to do its first human implantation later this year. He said this during the Paris VivaTech event recently. Last month, the company received a clearance from the US drug regulator for its first in-human clinical trial. However, Neuralink still faces another investigation in the US. This is regarding its handling of animal experiments. Meanwhile, Musk has said that he's planning to launch a Twitter video app for smart TVs. However, Musk did not give any details about the app or its launch. This will be in line with the company's plan to focus on video content on the platform. The social media company plans to focus on videos and commerce partnerships to diversify its business. Twitter's new CEO, Linda Yaccarino, spoke about the shift in focus during an investor presentation last week. Microsoft has said that it was hit by cyber attacks earlier this month. These cyber attacks were behind widespread service outages. On June 5th and 6th, Microsoft services, including Teams and Outlook, were down for thousands of users. However, the company has said that customer data has not been compromised. Moving to sports, in cricket, Australian captain Pat Cummins took control for his country in a rain-studded Day 3 of the Ashes. Displaying his all-round capabilities, the lower-order batsman made a useful 38. Australia made a total of 386 in the first innings and are just 7 runs behind England. Following his batting stint, Cummins also dismissed Ben Duckett as England finished 28 for 2 at the end of Day 3. Bangladesh secured a record-breaking 546-run Test match win against Afghanistan. The test took place at Mirpur in Bangladesh, ending on Saturday. The 546-run win is the third biggest by margin of runs for any test-playing nation. It's also the largest win by margin of runs in this century. In football, Spain beat Croatia 5-4 in a dramatic penalty shootout win to lift the UEFA Nations League final trophy. Spanish keeper Unai Simon saved a Croatia penalty in the shootout. He saved a penalty by Lovro Majer when the shootout was level at 3-all. With this win, Spain's 11-year UEFA trophy drought is finally over. while Croatia still wait for their first title. India beat Lebanon 2-0 to win the Intercontinental Cup final in the Indian city of Bhubaneswar. Skipper Sunil Chhetri's 87th international goal helped India clinch the title for the second time after winning it last in 2018. Lalianzuala Changte scored the second goal for India in the 65th minute. In tennis, British tennis star Antony Murray defeated French player Arthur Cazaux to win the Nottingham Open. Murray defeated Cazaux 6-4, 6-4 to win the grass court title. The win comes as Murray continues his Wimbledon preparation. 36-year-old Murray has now returned to the top 40 of the world rankings, ending a 5-year hiatus. American player Frances Tiafoe has won the title run at the 2023 Boss Open in the German city of Stuttgart. Tiafoe beat Germany's Jan-Lennard Struff, winning his third career title and first on grass. The triumph has paved the way for him to enter the ATP Top 10 rankings for the first time in his career. In badminton, Indian players Satwik Sairaj Rankireddy and Chirag Shetty created history with their Indonesia Open win. Both the players won India's first ever gold medal in the men's double category in Jakarta. Rankireddy and Shetty beat Malaysian world champions Aaron Chia and Wei Yik So in the final on Sunday. This is their first win against the Malaysian duo in 9 meetings on the tour. In archery, India's Abhishek Verma bagged an individual gold medal at the Archery World Cup Stage 3. This was in the city of Medellin in Colombia. Verma beat America's James Lutz to win the title. This is Verma's third individual World Cup gold medal. Verma had previously stunned world number 1 Mike Schlolesser of the Netherlands in the quarter-finals. In athletics, world number 1 javelin thrower Neeraj Chopra will compete in the 6th stage of the Diamond League. The league will be played in the Swiss city of Lausanne on June 30th. Chopra sustained a muscle strain last month and decided to pull out of the FBK Games in the Netherlands on June 4th. He also decided to pull out of the Paavo Nurmi meet in Finland on June 13th. In Formula 1, Max Verstappen has won the Canadian Grand Prix to claim Red Bull's 100th victory. Fernando Alonso was placed second, while Lewis Hamilton finished third in the Montreal race. Verstappen has now equaled Ayrton Senna's record of 41 race wins. Rapper Big Pokey has died after collapsing on stage during a concert in Texas in the US. He was 45. A video from the performance shows him gasping mid-lyric and then collapsing on his back. He was administered CPR and rushed to a hospital where he died shortly after. Singer Bebe Rexha was hit with a mobile phone during a concert in New York. A video made by a fan shows the exact moment when a mobile phone hit her on the face. Rexha can then be seen collapsing on her knees before her crew escorted her to safety. Day 2 of the Beyond Wonderland Electronic Dance Music Festival has been cancelled. This is because of a shooting incident at a campground near the concert venue in Washington. At least 2 people were killed and 3 injured in the incident that took place on Saturday. A documentary about Ukrainians fleeing war in their homeland has won the top prize at the Sheffield Docfest. Titled In the Rear View, the documentary won the Grand Jury Award for International Competition. Another Ukrainian film, 20 Days in Mariupol, won Sheffield's Tim Hetherington Award. Netflix has released the first look of its live-action series titled Avatar: The Last Airbender. The teaser was launched at the streaming platform's fan event in Brazil's Sao Paulo. The series is an adaptation of the award-winning animated series of the same name. It stars Kaya Wentio, Gordon Cormier and Ian Ousley. The first ever comedy pilot by Netflix, titled Little Sky, has wrapped up filming early. This is due to disruptions caused by the Writers Guild of America's strike. The show's production was also halted on 2 occasions due to picketing by striking members. The show was initially scheduled to film till the 20th of June, but Netflix informed the cast and crew that they were happy with material. Arnold Schwarzenegger's debut comedy series, Fubar, has been renewed for a 2nd season. The show features Schwarzenegger as a CIA operative who finds out that his daughter also works for the agency. The news comes 3 weeks after the show's premiere on the 25th of May. As per Netflix, Fubar has garnered over 219 million hours of viewing since its debut. Season 2 of Korean drama Squid Game has announced 4 new cast members. This includes actors Yim Si-wan and Kang Ha-ne. The 2nd season is set to premiere in 2024 on Netflix. A spin-off of the drama series Money Heist has been announced. Titled Berlin, the spin-off centers around a popular character from Money Heist. The character is played by Spanish actor Pedro Alonso. The teaser for Berlin gives a glimpse of his latest heist to rob one of the top auction houses in Paris. Berlin is expected to premiere on Netflix in December. Musician Pharrell Williams is set to debut at the Paris Men's Fashion Week. He'll debut as the creative director of fashion house Louis Vuitton. He will showcase his first collection for the French brand on the 20th of June. Teasing his creative vision for the brand, Williams offered a glimpse of his new brand campaign featuring singer Rihanna. That's all for this edition of Fast and Factual. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to Firstpost.
We're in Washington, D.C., the capital of the United States of America, where Prime Minister Modi will arrive for his first state visit. The tricolour is fluttering, the red carpet is being rolled out. This is Modi's 8th visit to the US as Prime Minister, his 2nd during the Biden presidency, but the Americans are calling it transformative. One that could redefine the India-US relationship. We'll tell you why. From chips to China, from jet engines to drones, the optics, the personal chemistry, we will report and analyze every aspect of this visit. Join me, Palki Sharma, to connect the dots on Firstpost.